one of the interesting things I've been seeing over the past 30 years is this gaslighting campaign from the gaming industry to try and meme you into thinking that Lara Croft is the most popular female video game character of all time. Nobody cares about Lara Croft. She's someone that people recognize because she's on magazine covers and she's just some basic thought. Nobody plays any Tomb Raider games. Nobody knows like what actually happens. Nobody cares about the setting or the world. Lara Croft is just Indiana Jones with boobies, okay? She's a better version of that chick from Indiana Jones 5, okay? Like, she very well may have been, like, designed by Kathleen Kennedy. She is, like, the epitome of someone who is only relevant for their looks. She is the juiced of video games, okay? Like, oh man, she's so pretty because she was in a Metal Gear Solid game, Like, there's no real consideration as to, like, whether this character can actually, say, carry a video game franchise. There are no spin-offs, there are no innovations, there was nothing in Tomb Raider that really paved the way for the gaming industry. Tomb Raider is a complete and total joke, It's not good, it never was good, only hyped up for sex appeal. Tomb Raider is complete and total slop. Lara Croft is only recognizable because of Game Journal hype. Like, she is no different than Sonic the Hedgehog in that regard. When Sonic came out, there was this really big push to, like, gaslight people into thinking he was as popular or more popular than Super Mario, but in actuality, over the past 30 years, it was very, very apparent, like, when it comes to the actual player base, people who actually play video games, that Sonic the Hedgehog was not popular, that nobody cared about him, that nobody cares about this character, and that, like, he's essentially only as well regarded as he is because of advertising, memes, and autism, essentially. That's Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, he's not popular because of video games. He's popular because Sega put a ton of effort into, like, marketing him as, like, Mario's rival and producing all these comics and all these shows that kids would just see everywhere that gaslit them into thinking the character was, like, a way bigger deal than he actually was, okay? Tomb Raider is no different. They produced comics, they produced films, they tried to gaslight people into thinking Lara Croft is like this huge name in gaming, and for a while there, it worked. Okay, people were obsessed with Lara Croft. They thought she was a big deal. They thought she was a great video game character, and even today, you still have people who believe that it must be true. Even though that there are like dozens of more popular, relevant video game characters out there. I've gone on record saying that, like, I feel like there are quite a few more like RPG characters that are more popular than her. Tifa Lockhart I would put up there as an example. There's so many like characters that are way more iconic and relevant than Lara Croft. Like, the issue is that usually a lot of them are like female leads in like other video game franchises. So, like, this is the giant cope that they usually do, is that, like, well, Lara Croft is the most popular female lead in any game ever. But, for that, you just kind of have to, like, laugh at them because nobody is more popular than, like, Samus Aran, okay? The issue with Samus Aran is that because you don't actually see her face, and because, like, you don't actually, like, realize she's a girl until the end, it's very possible, it's very, very common for most players to go through the entire thing without knowing that Samus Aran is a girl. So much so that it's become a meme in the communities that, like, Samus is a girl. It's one of the most famous archetypes in gaming. And it's not something that would have come about if Nintendo didn't deliberately market the character that way. So instead of emphasizing or trying to sell Samus as the most popular female character in gaming, like, Nintendo tried to sell that she was a girl as a plot twist, right? So this has led to this massive misconception that that Lara Croft is more popular than Samus, because Lara is instantly recognizable because of the shorts and because of the boobies, But Samus, being a more modest, less sexualized character, completely covers herself up with head to toe. She does not need to show off her tits and ass to demonstrate why Metroid is a great video game. Okay? And that's the great irony to the Metroid versus Tomb Raider debate, is that Metroid is undoubtedly a way more well-regarded series. It undoubtedly has way better games. They play better. They look better. They're more innovative. The character of Samus is more interesting. There's there's actual recognizable lore, characters, settings, games. Metroid is infinitely more popular than Tomb Raider. But Tomb Raider appeals more to casuals. Men who want titillation and women who want the power fantasy thing. Like, when it comes to actual gamers, when it comes to people who actually care about video games, there is no doubt that Samus Aran is infinitely more well-regarded and popular than Lara Croft ever will be. And I think this is demonstrated very strongly by just how often you see Jeff Keighley go out on the stage and try and sell you this idea that Lara Croft is the greatest female video game character ever. She is the most popular because of all the porn. And he's going out there saying this, and you realize that this douchebag, this Paige shill, is mispronouncing the character's name. So not only is he shilling, not only is he making stuff up, completely misrepresenting the character, he is coming out there and he is trying to say that he is a huge fan of Tomb Raider when he can't even pronounce her name correctly. Nobody pronounces her name correctly. Nobody. And it really does need to be said that this is a very strong indication of how nobody actually knows anything about the character. Nobody knows anything about her background, her lore, the things she's accomplished. Nobody knows anything about what Tomb Raider has done as a brand. The Tomb Raider brand essentially amounts to hyping up a female lead that doesn't really amount to much of anything. Okay, that is the issue we see with Lara Croft from a fundamental standpoint, is that she is popular among people who don't actually play video games, don't know a lot about them, don't play them, and simply see this girl all the time and just assume she has to be the biggest name in gaming. Okay. Meanwhile, actual gamers, people who play the games all the time and know a lot about them, they know Metroid, they know Samus, they know that she's the greatest female video game lead. And that's what's led to this massive discrepancy, is that you have people who know things about video games who prefer Metroid and Samus Aran, and then you have people who don't know anything about video games who prefer Tomb Raider and Lara Croft. And there's certainly nothing wrong with liking Lara for what she is. There's nothing wrong with liking the character, but the narrative that she's the most popular female video game character of all time is a complete and total cope, and really should be thought of as such. And it's definitely something I'll be fighting against in the coming years, because I do think this is the next major gaming cultural war. The gaming journalism community is going to try very, very hard to sell Lara to you over the next several years, but in an attempt to make her woke and to attempt to subjugate their views onto the gaming public, and it's not going to work, because not enough people genuinely care about Lara Croft. She is and always has been just a meme.